Friday, November 24th, 2017, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So, I want to talk about the markets this morning. It's just before 10 a.m. London. I want to talk also about a new app out there called Glint. It's supposed to hold physical gold for you, stored with Brinks. And you're able to spend that gold or any other currency you want through a credit card. And you don't have to redeem the gold into your currency before spending it. It does it automatically for you, which is interesting. But yeah, am I saying you should hold all your gold with them? No, but it's an interesting app that's just come up. I know the guy who started it. He's based in London. I've met him before years ago. He runs a hedge fund, a gold hedge fund called Hind Capital. So I'll talk about that. I've registered for the app, and I'm in the queue. So it's quite popular, and they're rolling out the app first in the UK. The other thing I want to talk about is a roundtable meeting I was invited to last night in London, and to talk about basically an article that was on Zero Hedge a few weeks ago or over a month ago called An Orgy of Blood. And that was an article by these people, Claremont Wealth. And it's like a wealth manager in London. And they basically invited me for this roundtable because I contacted them once I read the, the article. I thought it was interesting, and they put me on their mailing list, and they invited me for this, which was nice. I'm not even a client. Before I go into this roundtable and Glint, though, let's have a look at the markets. So, still fairly quiet. The day after Thanksgiving is going to be quiet, even though the market's open. Spot gold is trading around 1290. Right now, 1289.60. The range has been 1289.50. Well, we're just making new lows here as I speak. 1288.50 to 1293.50. So gold's still having a tough time breaking above, 1300 or 1295 for that matter. Silver is at 1710, unchanged. The range has been 1705 to 1717. Dow is up 6, so not much going on there. Nasdaq, S&P up 2, 25.98. The Nasdaq is up 10, 63.87. Currency-wise, we're seeing the dollar rebound a little bit against the yen. We're at 111.44, up 22. The euro is rising against the dollar, though, up 20 pips, almost back to 119. It's at 118.70. And the pound is at 133.25, up 16. Crude oil still quite strong, 58.50. And also the yuan, the Chinese yuan, has been fairly strong, or the dollar has been fairly weak lately. And we broke through earlier today through 660, which is a key support. Got down to 656, but we're now back to 660. Looking at the charts of the yuan, it looks like the dollar is going to continue to go lower, and the yuan is going to continue to go higher, in my opinion. So, the roundtable conference I went to, the things I took from that is they were mostly talking about how central banks have basically changed the whole view of markets, mainly because of the trillions and trillions upon trillions of dollars that they've added to their balance sheet. They now control the price of money, and they actually said there is no market. They control the market, and that's why we've had all these asset bubbles. I brought up gold a few times, but they were quite dismissive, didn't really, they bunched gold together with other commodities, and they do think that the dollar is going lower. They think that the unwind of the Fed balance sheet is going to lead to all the bank reserves held at the Fed coming out into circulation as cash in the US, and that's going to hurt the dollar. And that's something they say people are not talking about, and I agree with them. I think there was over 2 trillion those parked, bank reserves with the Fed. But as the Fed starts unwinding their balance sheet, it's going to turn into cash in the system. So I agree with them on that. But and they seem to be quite, how can I say, out of the box, more contrarian thinking, but still no talk about gold as money or that you need to hold physical gold outside the system. They seem to be concerned there could be something out of left field. They compared the situation now of the central banks to how it was in the 30s and 40s during the war, how their balance sheets were as big as now. They were even saying that the balance sheet of the Bank of England, they've got one of the charts here, which is really interesting. I hadn't seen that, is that, the balance sheet of the Bank of England going back. This is Bank of England data going back to 1700 is almost at 25%, which is the highest ever. And that's with rates almost at zero in England. So it's a toxic mix. If you have interest rates rise, this could be lead to a lot of problems in the UK. The other thing they point out is that one of the reasons the central banks are doing this, all this trillions of dollars of money created out of thin air, is to keep the global economy going. We've had the this fiat money system going since 1971. And they showed something interesting here, like back in 1930, the Earth at night in 1930, there's very little light, and the Earth at night now is all lit up. And, and they talk about energy use. They say, back in 1930, the world used 7.5 billion barrels of oil equivalent. And nowadays, annually, we use 75 billion, and the population has gone from 2 billion to 7 billion. So basically, they're saying, they think, central banks are doing this just to keep our standard of living. And, and one key point they made is that last time, balance sheets were as high as this was in the 30s and in the build up to the World War II and during World War II. They're not saying we're going to have a war, but something out of left field could happen. And that's why I'm surprised that they were a bit complacent about keeping, the wealth that they manage in the system. I would be more concerned about that. But it was an interesting roundtable, and hopefully I'll be invited to a next one. They have 3 or 4 of these a year. So Glint. Well, I saw this advert today for this app on Zero Hedge, and I clicked on it and I registered. So what is Glint? Well, it was started out, co-founded by this guy called Ben Davies. And I know Ben Davies. He's based in London, and he used to work in the city, and he founded his own gold hedge fund a few years ago. And now he's developed this, Glint app. Basically, it says here, reintroducing gold as money, a new global currency, foreign exchange, and payments account, more independent and reliable than a normal account. So basically, you're going to be able to have allocated physical gold stored with banks, and you can spend directly that gold, or you can spend pounds. You can have pounds in your account or any other currency, unlike gold money where you have to redeem the gold into your local currency to spend it. You'll be able to do that straight through. You can spend your gold and they will do the exchange with the local currency automatically for you, and they are regulated by the FCA, which is the Financial Conduct Authority in the UK. And what do I think about this? I mean, I've registered for it, and there's quite a bit of interest. So I'm in the queue or in the line waiting to, and they're rolling this app out in the UK at first, But as a UK resident, I would want to know what kind of gold they hold, because if you're holding a lot of gold, you know, in terms of pounds, you could be subject to capital gains tax, because bullion on its own is, it does incur capital gains in the UK, but gold sovereigns, gold Britannias, gold half sovereigns, they're considered coins of their realm or legal tender. They're legally money. So if you're holding, let's say, you know, a very wealthy individual holds £1 million worth of gold with Glint, and the price doubles, let's say, in a year, and he sells that, he's going to be subject to a big amount of capital gains tax if that gold is not held as sovereigns in Britannias. So this, I actually sent an email to Ben Davies asking that question. We'll see if he replies. Yeah, I don't have a problem with this app. The only thing I would say is that I don't really like to spend my gold. I see gold more as a store of value, and I want to keep it close to me. I know they have it will be allocated physical gold held outside the banking system, but you still have a counterparty between you and your gold, and you know, it's not ideal, but it makes it, you know. And do you really want to like buy 2,000 pounds of gold, let's say, for example, and start spending it? No, I don't really want to do that. Silver would be more interesting, because silver is the old change, it's for smaller transactions, but they are not doing silver. They think that gold is the ultimate form of money, but the only problem with silver is the tax treatment. In the UK, if you buy silver, there's a 20% value-added tax. So that's the only problem. I would be more comfortable with having this as silver. Even then, I wouldn't want to spend my silver. Do I really want to spend my gold? Not really. Gold is more for saving. But it's interesting, something you should look at. I'll put the link below in the description, and I think you can download it. Yeah, you can download it in the App Store. It's Glint. So that's what I wanted to talk about then. So if you enjoyed this video, please like, share it far and wide, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and you can also follow me on Twitter and on steemit.com. And I'll talk to you later. Bye.